This episode of Cape Ann Today is brought to you by The Building Center, setting the standard for quality and service since 1903. Hey, check it out. We are back with Ethan Foreman of the Gloucester Times to talk all things Cape Ann. Ethan, there's a lot on your plate. As usual, we're going to touch on 3 or 4 different stories this week. Let's start with Teach to Reach.
I'd like to start with Teach to Reach, but first, I know it's going to air later, but this is St. Patrick's Day.
Well, yes. I noticed the logo.
Yes, this is a Guinness logo. I actually got this shirt in Dublin. My daughter spent her freshman year a couple of years ago in Dublin and had to come home because of the COVID. So she, March 16th, getting a flight home and just missed St. Patrick's Day in Dublin by 1 day.
Oh.
So there you go. So I just want to I know it's gonna be, we're going to come out afterwards.
Ethan, you haven't spent St. Joseph's Day in Gloucester.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Try the Bista. Try the Bista. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Teach to Reach.
Yeah, this is a interesting program. When I first started in Gloucester, I was talking to Lieutenant Jeremiah Nicastro, who heads up the Community Impact Unit. And he mentioned to me that the community navigator, Tito Rodriguez, had come up with a interesting idea of training recovery coaches. So what's a recovery coach? They work with law enforcement or in healthcare provider settings when someone has an overdose. And it's usually somebody who has been in this situation before, a peer, somebody who's dealt with drug addiction or alcohol addiction, not just opioid, but substance misuse disorder. We're trying to broaden it out. So when they encounter somebody who is in trouble, they would hook them up with a recovery coach. They would make home visits, and they would try to guide them through detox, recovery, and work on very basic life skills like relationships, finding a job. And this is a position that is certified within the state. You can get certified to be a recovery coach. Now, on Cape Ann, you have Lieutenant Nicastro, you have Tito Rodriguez, and they get a lot of calls about finding help. And so this is a way for them to sort of spread the wealth of their knowledge and to train people to be a recovery coach. So they got a grant. This is a totally privately funded endeavor, about nearly $30,000. And they got the grant from Addison and Beverly hospitals, a grant from Addison, Gilbert, and Beverly Hospital. And they got the yearly foundation. So they are going to be training up to 44 people. And with that training, they would then have to take a state exam and they could become certified as recovery coaches. And so, the training will be at the Community Impact Unit at 67 Middle Street, their new headquarters at the YMCA building there. Yep. And what this does is kind of does 2 things. One, it creates more recovery coaches, but it also creates an ability for somebody who maybe had an addiction problem, goes through the program, becomes certified, now they get a job. So they take this kind of negative in their life and they wind up helping others, and then they get employed and they could work in a hospital, for other police departments. And one of the other interesting aspects of this is now the training, because of the grant, it's free. Tuition free. I don't have to pay anything to get to be trained as a recovery coach. And what they want to do, the key aspect of this, which I neglected to mention, is they want to open up seats to the local organizations like the Open Door or Action and others. So in other words, they would say to them, we'll train a recovery coach for you. And they would be on staff. And this is important because I think a lot of people who are searching for one type of help or another might wind up needing addiction services. So it would, I think you could see how this would help, would help out the other nonprofits and organizations.
Yeah.
So this is going to kick off in May. They're going to do 22 people at first, and then they're going to do another training at the beginning of next year.
Interesting. Cool. And we want to pivot slightly into opioid distribution settlement and how that could be maybe be tied in with this Teach to Reach program.
Well, yeah, and this is an interesting coincidence, because Teach to Reach is funded by a grant. It's an initiative of the Community Impact Unit. But yesterday, just recently, we just got word that there's been a settlement for seasoned towns, about 150 Massachusetts seasoned towns. There's been many others across the nation who've sued distributors of opioids. You know, why were you allowing this kind of distribution of drugs? You should have caught it, you know. And seasoned towns suffered impacts from this, from the opioid epidemic, you know. So seasoned towns sued, many of them sued in federal court. They had to document what their impact was, you know, overdoses and, you know, how much time was spent on this. And Gloucester, out of the settlements, about, I'm going to say $530 million for Massachusetts, they are going to get about $887,000 from this settlement. Now, they're not going to get it all at once. It's going to come over about 16 years. But when you talk about Teach to Reach, maybe, and I don't, you know, there's no official word, but maybe that's something where they say, you know, we could put this money for more recovery coach training, or it could maybe propel that program forward. But they could probably use it for a number of things. I don't know. I've reached out to the city to find out what they're going to use their settlement money for. But it's good. It's 125 seasoned towns in the state. I think is. I'm just doing a little bit of background here. So
yeah,
$526 million opioid settlement, and then it's going to be distributed out. But it's a problem in Gloucester. But you know, Gloucester, of course, is you know, ahead of the curve and trying to solve or tackle the opioid crisis with their Angel program, which eventually became a nationwide nonprofit called PARI. So you know, Gloucester has been trying to do its share to tackle this.
Mm-hmm. All right. Important stuff, Ethan. Thanks for that. Another story you worked on this week was how CADA is combating rising fuel costs.
Yeah, this is interesting. A reader, for some reason, was reading the audit of the of CADA, which is a Regional Transportation Authority, and we all see their buses, and he found out that they actually had locked in some really cheap fuel costs of about $2 a gallon. That's kind of cool. Now it doesn't last forever. Once they buy the amount of fuel in the contract, then they got to go out into the market or lock in more long-term contracts. But you know, I'd rather be paying $2 a gallon than $4 something a gallon.
Yeah.
We went on Gas Buddy and we looked to see what was going on, and you know, Tallies was one of the I have no relation to Tallies, but they were one of the cheaper ones in the city. But the prices are kind of dropping. You know, since I started to do work on the story earlier this week, you know, prices are dropping. So you know, knock on wood. But you know, CADA is doing its part. They said they're looking at more fuel efficient ways to provide their bus service. The administrator, Felicia Webb, said they've had demonstrator electric buses. They're not really sure, so they may go hybrid for their buses. You know, Boston has stopped their trolley buses. 100 years. They had buses that had overhead electrification.
Yeah. And
now they're moving. First, they're going to go to dirty diesel, and then they're going to go to, I guess, hybrid, maybe eventually electric. But you know, if you can save fuel and save on the carbon in the atmosphere, you know, it's not so bad.
Oh yeah, it's a pinch right now. Great. Okay, and lastly, we have some fun news. This is a Three Saints Day. We have St. Patrick's Day is the day we're recording this. St. Joseph's is Saturday. We're gonna be enjoying that too. But there's news about St. Peters Fiesta.
Oh my God! I got to sit down with Joe Novello and Anthony Cusimano, and and they were outlining Fiesta is, knock on wood, right? Because they're planning to run Fiesta this year.
Mm.
It's actually been 3 years since Fiesta. I mean, it's hard to, can you believe that? I mean, it's
No, we
no
miss it.
greasy pole, no same mode, Now, listen, I'm very new to Gloucester, and I've only really sort of heard about Fiesta in passing, so I'm looking forward to sort of getting in there. I know I'm not going to be doing any kind of greasy pole.
I was going to say, I can get you on that if you want.
Yeah, well,
You-
listen,
I see you in a send boat, Ethan. That's where I
yeah,
see you.
maybe I'll go. They'll kick my butt in a samba, but this is really great. But the thing is, I just want to make a plea. So, barring any COVID stuff or that BA2 variant, let's just hope. But they had into a lot of expenses. They put $50,000 into the repair of the send boats,
Mm.
and they had
Wow.
just like rent and on equipment and insurance. And it's just because they weren't holding a Fiesta doesn't mean that they didn't have any incur expenses. So, in our paper on Monday, if you go to page 2, there's a Venmo where you can reach out to them, and I think I don't want to give the wrong box. It's PO Box 3105. PO Box 3015, St. Peters Fiesta Committee Incorporated, Gloucester, Mass. Because it's a great thing. It costs them about $150,000 to run this festival, and they're going into this Fiesta about 30% of what they normally have on hand. And this is a treasure. It's the 5th, and it's an amazing site. So
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to come up with a couple creative fundraisers in the meantime.
yeah, it's worth every penny. These kind of Fiesta, Beverly Homecoming, these Sam's, all it does around Halloween, they really it's the identity of the community. People think about Gloucester, they think about Fiesta. So I'm just hoping that we don't wind up in COVID Hades and we can move forward.
Yeah. Same here. Okay, well done, Ethan. Thanks for your time. That was a lot of ground we just covered there. So enjoy your weekend, and we will catch you on the other side of it.
Weekend. Wait, is today Friday?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's not. But thank you.
Viva!
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.